Little Red Riding Hood updated. Once upon a time, there lived a little girl called Red Riding Hood. Now, I want everybody to copy this down so you can read it to your children. This is sort of an outcome-based Little Red Riding Hood. Politically correct. One day, her mother asked her to take a basket of fruit to her grandmother, who lived alone in a cottage in the forest and who was sick. It happened that a wolf was lurking in nearby bushes and overheard the conversation. The wolf decided to take a shortcut to Grandma's and intercept the basket of goodies for himself. The wolf arrived first and made advances to Grandma, which she resisted. He then killed Grandma and ate her. Then he dressed himself in Grandma's nightgown and jumped into bed to await Red Riding Hood. When Red Riding Hood arrived, the wolf made overtures to the girl and tried to grab her. The terrified girl ran screaming from the cottage into the woods. A woodcutter nearby heard the cries, rushed to the rescue, and killed the wolf with his axe. Red Riding Hood was saved. The townspeople, when they learned of the rescue, converged on the scene and proclaimed the woodcutter a hero. However, at the inquest, certain facts emerged. 1. The wolf, prior to the woodcutter's use of force, had not been advised of his rights. 2. The woodcutter had made no warning swings before striking the fatal blow and had used unreasonable force. 3. Representatives of the ACLU stressed the fact that although the killing and eating of Grandma may have been in bad taste, it is not the nature of wolves to do so, and because he was doing his thing, he did not deserve the death penalty. Further, the ACLU lawyers contended that killing Grandma could be construed as self-defense, inasmuch as the wolf's intent was to make love, not war, and it can be reasonably assumed that Grandma resisted and might, given the opportunity, have killed him. Also, an elderly neighbor testified that Grandma had occasional male visitors and may have behaved in a seductive manner. Based on these considerations, it was concluded that the woodcutter was guilty of unaggravated assault with a deadly weapon and was so indicted, arrested, arraigned, convicted, and sentenced to 20 years without the possibility of parole. The night following the sentencing, the woodcutter's cottage was burned to the ground. 1 year from the date, dubbed by the media as the incident at Grandma's, her cottage was dedicated as a shrine to the wolf who bled and died there. At the dedication of the shrine, Red Riding Hood gave a touching tribute. She explained that while she was grateful for the woodcutter's intervention, in retrospect she realized she overreacted. The wolf, after all, had only wanted to share her wealth, which, of course, was his right and privilege. As she knelt and placed a wreath in memory of the wolf, there was not a dry eye in the forest. Later, the relatives of the wolf sued on the basis that the wolf's civil rights had been violated through the perception that some discrimination was thought to exist against, quote, things that are gray. It was also found that the woodcutter had not observed the 5-day waiting period in the purchase of the act, and had he thrown a brick at the wolf in an effort to crush its skull, he would have been exonerated as being caught up in the emotionality of the moment. Henceforth, the state requires a permit to transport goodies through any forest. And I might add that at the hearing, they pointed out that statistically there was a disparity between gray wolves and brown wolves, and therefore the whole thing was a violation of everybody's civil rights, and Red Riding Hood was run out of town. Wonderful. Liberals. Clinton. God.